what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, presented by Firekeepers Casino and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Bet the games we're betting. Or just swing on down by Firekeepers near Battle Creek off I-94. An incredible sportsbook and casino experience at Dacey's Tap Room and Sportsbook. That's Firekeepers Casino near Battle Creek off I-94. Jason, how you doing, brother?
I am never going to financially recover from this.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day, Graham. You know what that means?
It's July.
July 1st, and Bobby Bonilla gets paid by not just the New York Mets, but the Baltimore Orioles. $1.6 million every July 1st. Now, people think the Miggy contract is bad. I don't know.
I wish, though, that the Tigers had stretched Miggy to 1.6 a year over 27 years or whatever it was and just
I don't know.
Let him go.
I don't think so. I think I would rather watch him bat and it just, get his wheelchairs and rocking chairs instead of seeing this for the next. I mean, this Bobby Bonilla Day doesn't end until 2028.
Yeah, I mean,
who is this agent? Like, why don't I know who this guy is? Everybody should have this guy.
The deals back in the day were crazy. Like Magic Johnson had, I think it was like a 25-year, $1 million a year contract.
I remember that.
And now, I mean, it turned out not to be that great a deal, and he made lots of money elsewhere. But that's what the money was back then. It's amazing how money changes. You think about when LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh went to Miami on 3 max deals to form a super team. In 2010, we're just talking 13 years ago. I think the max salary in the NBA was $14 million. They all got $14 million a year. I was like, dang, that's a lot.
Now Max Strauss laughs at that.
Yeah, $14 million is dang near the veteran mid-level exception or whatever. The maximum is in the 40s. It's insane how quickly the money's changed.
Signed with the Cavs, 4 years, $63 million. Like, I understand that times are changing in the NBA with the TV contracts and everything, but as an owner, it's got to be tough to cut those checks if you see what you're paying on a monthly basis to some of these guys.
Well, yeah. So if you had is somebody who once traveled the country with a duffel bag for 2 weeks with $40K.
The country. I was in the Lansing area
with a duffel bag with $40,000 in cash in it in your Jeep.
Yeah.
If you had, say, $60 million, $40 million,
I'd be dead.
Well, I'm aware of that.
Oh.
But also, how much of it would you keep with you on hand? Like, if you had that kind of money, I'm guessing you'd want to roll in some cash. How much would you keep on you?
Nothing crazy. I don't want to get robbed. You don't want people to know that you're always carrying something. But I think I would have at least 1,000 on me at all times. Desmond Bain. $200 million deal? Desmond Bain? Holy shit. I guess if I had his money, 10 grand, we'd just have one of those fat knots that in your gangster roll.
Yeah. No, it's
unbelievable.
Also, did you see, I like this. We're going to get into the Groovy Donut Twitter questions here in a little bit. Jeff Sykes designed some mock-ups for the Moneyball Pro-Am potential Couch in the Rube team. These are really good. And
it was unbelievable.
We retweeted them. They're fantastic.
Is this like a reality?
We may have to consider this next year.
Might.
I think we have to.
It just sucks that we have to keep doing the show. Like, that means we have to do the show for like another year. But I mean, I got to say, I think I would do it if we had our own team.
Yeah.
Is this just a bit, or is it actually like a possibility? Is Jeff Sykes, does he know?
You don't have control of the team. You're not out there coaching. I can't be like storming the sidelines.
Well, of course not.
And but
I
you
still
want
to dress like Pat Riley, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You own the team. Yeah. You come in your best suit.
You guys do whatever you want. I'm just going to stand around. But it's funny, all of the little things in the jerseys, as we all retweeted it out yesterday. But it was amazing to see those. I did not see those at first.
No,
like a little raccoon and a caw-caw.
Very, very cool. Very well done by Jeff. The other thing is, I would want and you don't have this either. You don't have control over your roster, right? You just get a roster, and
I'm going to need Cohen Carr though.
See, I would
if he's still around.
You would want Cohen Carr, but I would want to put together. I would ask for no MSU guys like the great Moneyball OGs of all time. I want those Devin Oliver who's still playing overseas. I want to just prove that a team with only Lansing-based guys could win the league. That's what I'd want to do.
You want to go Popovich for Moneyball?
Yeah, that's it. All right, before we dig into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions, as we do every end-of-week show, what we are betting presented by Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. What are you betting this week on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app?
It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nee.
I think I'm back off the Tigers bet. I made one really bad mistake last night. It's pretty embarrassing, but I'll admit it here. I mean, I am the Rube, by the way. I bet the Tigers -1.5 last night. And when Jake Rogers batted fifth, I'm like, I am the stupidest man alive. But they lost to Colorado 8-5, and I had -1.5 in my parlay. It was pretty embarrassing. But I'm going to bet some baseball throughout the 4th of July while we're off for a couple weeks. I think I have to, but maybe the over-unders we can bet still with the Tigers, but
it's tough.
I'm staying away.
It's getting – I mean, they go to Texas and they split. Like, that's the sign that you can't bet against the Tigers every day.
And everyone's injured.
And they're still splitting. Like, there's going to be a bad run for the Tigers again. We just don't know when it's coming.
That's what sucks.
Yeah, and it's very hard to
but Reese, I mean, he was looking good, and then he gets a ball hit at his ankle, and how long is he going to be out? Matt Boyd is on the IL. We'll see him in another 2 years. It's ridiculous.
No, it's not.
I know other teams have injuries, but come on, man.
All right, I am betting Gold Cup soccer. Liga MX is also back, so I'm still figuring out Liga MX. I don't know that I'll have a bet this weekend because the big problem with betting Liga MX in the Mexican League is eventually I understand the league really well, but a lot of the games I watch, the telecast is in Spanish, so I don't understand the analysis either, and so it's very hard. It takes me longer to understand what is happening. It's a lot more eyeballing it. But the Gold Cup, you get something like the U.S. versus Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday, and the U.S. is -919, -2.5 the goal line. I'm going to wait and probably live bet this when it gets down to 2 and let it get like 20 minutes in the game and hope they don't score. And probably get in there.
That's a good thing for soccer.
Yeah.
Don't score. Come on.
I also, kind of like Jamaica -4 against St. Kitts and Nevis. And there are a few others that I'm.
Is that in the CONCACAF?
It is the CONCACAF.
CONCACAF.
Also, big fan. I like Haiti plus money on a pick'em. So that means not in the money line, a pick'em. That basically means if it ties, you don't lose your money, you just get it back. Plus 104 to beat Honduras. I like that as well on Sunday at 9 o'clock. That is what I'm betting this week. Presented by Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app. Bet the games with us. Start to get your NFL futures, your college football futures in. Lots of good stuff at the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. All right, are we ready to dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions?
I have one question before we get into them.
Okay.
Now, you're going on vacation. You're going with the in-laws as well, right? If there's a soccer game on, do you even think about asking if we could find a TV somewhere? Or do you just look at a score on your phone somehow?
So we're going to London and Paris for my mother-in-law's 70th birthday, which I'm very excited about. I've never been to Paris. And the thing is, though, we're going at a time when soccer really isn't happening. Like it starts up in early to mid-August. Even the preseason games are late July. Like, I'll never travel to Europe again in mid-July. This is because this is when her birthday is. Like, it's a pointless time to travel to Europe. There's no soccer. That said, there are some preseason games here and there. Like Torquay United is at Reading in an exhibition match. It's like the day we get it there. I don't think they're letting me go to Wimbledon. They're not letting me go. I'm going to Wimbledon. I'm going to Wimbledon by myself on the Sunday that we're in London.
No one wants to go?
Well, I don't really want them with me.
Valid, but I figured they would.
Elizabeth doesn't want to go.
To Wimbledon?
And nobody else will be that. I want to be nimble. I want it to be easy. I'm just buying a day pass. And the other thing is they've never been to London, so she's going to show them around London. They're going to do tours and fun. I've been to London.
What
I want
a
to go
day
to
for you. That's going to be awesome.
It's fantastic.
I'm jealous of that.
It's fantastic.
I want to go to Wimbledon.
That'll be it'll be cool. I did a tour of it last year when we were there. And
Will you live tweet throughout your day? Like, take us with you to Wimbledon?
I like the idea.
Or are you going to announce that you're going to be off?
I'm sure I'll announce I'm off, but you know me. I'll screw
My
it up.
favorite part of the vacation.
Yeah, it's not my best.
I won't be tweeting. 2 minutes later, you can see Couch liking stuff. Like,
I wish people can see your legs. Oh well.
One day.
All right, let's dig into
All
these
right.
groovy donut Twitter
Yeah,
questions.
let's do it. Eric Schultz up first. In the entire Tom Izzo tenure, MSU has had one team in 2004-2005 that had zero guys average 30 minutes per game. Not only does Graham say that'll happen this year, but he's also predicts nobody will be close. If you're right, do you think that bodes well for the season?
Don't coach my team.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. That's interesting that zero guys or they've had one team where nobody averaged 30 minutes per game, because it feels like there's been games where it was pretty spread out. I think it speaks to the idea that there's not one player who is just required to be on the floor for them to win, and there's a ton of depth in the guards where those players might exist on a lesser team. Like you might say, well, they got to have Tyson Walker on the floor. He's going to play more than 30. There's just a lot of depth. So I do think it probably bodes well, but I think it could go either way. I don't mean to Graham Stout this in the first one. Go either way. I can't even do the voice.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, thanks. Because there could be the real question is whether Izzo ever finds a great rhythm with the rotation and managing the minutes and getting the most out of the group. And the last time he had a team that I think was this, it wasn't even this, it was constructed differently, but had some issues with too many guys, was the 2017-18 team. And they never got the most out of that. I think this will be different because they sort of know who that team forced the ball into Miles Bridges' hands when they had Cassius Winston. That's not going to the guard situation is a little more set, and you're bringing in Jeremy Fears. It's not going to hurt you to put the ball in Jeremy Fears' hands at times. But I think it could go either way. It could be him struggling all year to figure out how, get guys minutes. The key is if that happens, it's good. And if that happens because everybody has earned minutes that's playing, then that's good for them. If he's struggling sort of to keep people happy and get them on the floor, and I don't think that will happen. I don't. But that is the situation where it doesn't work. If Tyson Walker needs to be on the floor and he's not on the floor because they're trying to get other guys minutes, then that's not good.
DeUper next. Is all the engagement on Graham's Lansing column going to lead to a Mitch Albom-esque transition away from sports into a cheesy novelist and op-ed writer? Just be careful about any unattributed quotes.
I can promise you that I'm not.
Wednesdays with Maury?
Yeah, I'm not transitioning away. First of all, the book stuff definitely not. It's a lot of work, and I don't even I know like Ebling's written a lot of books, and other people.
Sounds ponderous.
I've got one book project, and it's killing me to manage with this and the job and everything. I do want to do more of that stuff, not cranky news opinions about everything, but I feel like there is value in it. I know a lot of people reached out to me after that column, and they have wanted me over time to do more of that stuff. The problem is Michigan State sports is our bread and butter. I enjoy covering Michigan State sports, so you can't back off that too much. And I think maybe if we get that other position hired, I'll be able to do a little bit more of it. I've got some plans for a couple other columns as well.
You just can't do it during the football and basketball season.
Well, you can, but you got to structure it. You can't take the pedal off football and basketball. So You've got to really plan when you're going to do it and how you're going to do it and take the right approach. Yeah.
DeUper next with this one. The Moneyball Pro-Am looks amazing this year. I know it runs until August, but how soon do I need to go before Liz Frank and the stress fractures start claiming victims?
I get there quickly. No, I don't know if there's ever been. Oh, shoot, this is totally jinxing them. An injury in Moneyball that's like, geez, I mean, there've been a couple rolled ankles, a couple things, but nothing that's ever made them think like we're not going to keep doing. I'm sorry, we'll cut this in post. That's not good. That's the worst. That's the worst. That's not going to happen.
Cockburn.
Gavin Haas next. How do you both feel about the Pistons seemingly kicking the can down the road another season and skipping out on any big free agents? Is Joe Harris supposed to have a big enough impact on shooting for this team to win 30-plus games? Not by himself, I guess,
but I didn't hate what they did. They didn't. They got Monty Morris back too, which I liked. A veteran point guard who's solid for a young team. Harris is a good shooter.
And we still have PTSD from Ben Gordon and Villanueva, right? Like, you just don't want to throw money at
there's
guys you don't need.
There's not that much
just to make a move.
Cam Johnson is a guy who plays like 57 games a year. He's always hurt. Good player. Is he worth the $110 million contract? Like, to me,
yeah, but you could say that about a lot of these guys too.
Absolutely.
You just have to spend it, I guess.
I think the thing that's different now than has ever been before is that we still don't know what Cade Cunningham, what Jaden Ivey, what Jalen Duren are going to be. So, you don't know yet what your core is, how great they are, what you really need. And that's great because you think about in the past when you were hoping the Pistons signed a big free agent, you were hoping they signed a star, a cornerstone. The cornerstones may or may not already be there. And that's what makes this different. And the money is going to have to be spent on them if they turn out to be legit. And so they're still a really interesting team. And I think what you want to do is you want to put the type of players around them that give them the best chance to succeed and not take their minutes. Doesn't mean they would have been fine adding a wing, a Harrison Barnes, a Cam Johnson, something like that. I'm just saying, that's what makes this different than other times.
But if you put those guys on the current Pistons roster, do you think you're championship caliber? I think you need to take this season. Unfortunately, blame Stan Van Gundy for this because unfortunately you got to let those guys kind of be cohesive as a unit, right? If you see who they want to play with, you can't just add these veteran guys and think stuff is going to happen.
They need a healthy season with Cade Cunningham to see what direction they're going. Last year was sort of a waste because of that. I mean, not an entire waste because you saw it with Duren and Ivey. They got some time and all that stuff. But if you're frustrated with the Pistons, just imagine you could be the Bulls. And if you are 40 years old right now and you're a Bulls fan, you're going to be 50 before they're relevant.
Then I go back and watch the 90s.
That's fine, but they're
awesome.
They're in a spot where they can. I mean, they can watch The Last Dance all they want. They can keep watching over and over. They're in a spot where they just paid again for mediocrity. They're going to have to wait for that to end. They've got executives who are trying to hang on to their jobs. Then they're going to have to tear it down. Then they're going to have to rebuild. Nobody is further from a championship, and you don't want to be that. The Pistons have already done the tear down. They're in an interesting build. We don't know where things are going. Are there frustrations here and there? Yeah, but I'd so much rather be the Pistons than probably all but about 10 teams in the NBA.
But after this season, right, we need to expect something.
I think even this year you want to start to see some stuff.
Well, sure, you want to be competitive and all that, but I'm saying next year we can't sit there and go, well, we just need to give it some more time.
Well, I think Cade Cunningham will be extension eligible after next year, if I'm right. So you need to see from him, is that something that you're going to really spend a lot of money on?
Gavin, with this one, what would fair expectations be for Noah Kim if he wins the starting quarterback job? What about if Katon Hauser wins the job?
Same. I mean, you can't. The winner of that
don't
job,
know either of them, right?
Yeah, but what's fair to expect? What's fair to expect is that they are playmakers who don't have severe, turnover issues, and that the thing is, they are first-time starters. There are going to be some mistakes. I think avoiding the groans when there are mistakes early on and understanding that there will be growth is fine. But for both guys, even I know that Hauser's younger than Kim, but whoever wins the job ought to be somebody that can make plays with their arm and their feet.
But it comes down to the offensive line, though, right? I mean,
for the overall
those guys
season,
could be Tom Brady, and it doesn't matter if you don't have an O-line.
100%. But just talking about those guys, say they got the O-line. Those guys need to make good decisions.
Sure.
They can't be turnover machines. I mean, that's the thing we don't know yet. You can watch a spring game or a spring practice, whatever that was, and see 4 or 5 darts and go, man, that's great. But if there are also 5 or 6 passes in a game that ought to be picked off and 3 of them are, that doesn't work. You're not going to win games.
Gavin, what happened to Drew Stanton? Should Pete Rose make the Hall of Fame? Was Alex Carter really him? What makes Marquette such a good city? Am I missing any other July questions?
Pretty much nailed it. Drew Stanton's still around. I mean, what an unbelievable career as a backup quarterback.
Yeah, is he somewhere where he can't be found? I figured.
No, he's
he
around.
had some golf outing recently.
Yeah, he's a golf outing guy.
Yeah.
Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. Alex Carter was definitely him. Marquette just has everything. It's just you just feel like home. It's got a lot of cool stuff. It's on Lake Superior, which is obviously the name Lake Superior says it all. It's
but
Superior.
Drew Stanton, if you're not going to be a good, solid quarterback, all pro, you want to be Drew Stanton, right?
You want to play
like if you know your limitations and you see, well, shit, I'm never going to be Lamar Jackson and those guys. You want to be Drew Stanton.
When the beauty of Drew Stanton is, like, you think about it, like there are 10 quarterbacks, 12 quarterbacks maybe in the NFL who people are happy with. The other starters people are frustrated with. Nobody's ever frustrated with Drew Stanton. You get to live a life where people like you.
Unless he gets in the game and throws a Nate
unless he has
Peterman 2 picks for pick sixes.
Right, that's fair.
Matt Boone next. If you were in the match, how many pedestrians would you hit through in 12 holes, which is what they played? Second part, who would be your partner? Have to pick someone in your field, not a professional or someone outside of journalism.
First of all, how many pedestrians would you hit? Because I would hit a lot, especially when I would hit pedestrians, and I would kill a pedestrian, is that initial part where they're like lined up on the tee shot right next to golfers. Yeah. Now, I don't know if they were in the match. I didn't actually watch it because those guys are.
It was brutal. I tried tuning in. They got to keep it where there's professional golfers involved at all times. Mahomes and Kelsey were decent. But Klay Thompson he golfed like I do. I think he almost killed somebody. I think I would hit at least a dozen, maybe a baker's dozen.
Who would be your team? Who would you?
But I would have to pick someone that does a podcast or something.
No, just anyone who's not just a friend or like who would be?
Oh Jesus. Well, my friend Jordan, he's not great at golf.
So that's the thing.
Maybe I pick him.
That's what I'm saying.
More embarrassing for him. I don't know.
Yeah. So for me, like you could say, like Brendan Quinn, plays a lot of golf, covers golf.
Of course,
I enjoy the conversation, but he's better than me. You don't want.
But it would be so hard to golf when you guys are 69 on every tee box.
That is true. That'd be difficult.
Again,
it would be tough.
All right, Matt Boone. Are people who are fanboys of teams but have credentials and have passes to games different in person and can act professional, or is what we see on social media what they are like in person? I need names.
Yeah, well, no, I mean there are lots of people who people are aware of who cover the team because they are fans of the team and they love the team, and those are not at the traditional outlets. But I'll say this: for those people who started sites or work at some of the 24/7 writers or some of the Rivals writers over time and things like that, or their own sites, I think they behave professionally in that setting. Like, I've never been around anyone who's like embarrassed, like, asked for autographs or fangirled it or whatever. I mean, I'm sure there are moments that I don't see or something like that, but generally these are people who understand. First of all, MSU sort of requires it to a certain degree. And maybe I'm forgetting things, and there are probably moments that have happened over time with certain people. But
Hondo,
well, Hondo was a different character entirely. But yeah, no, they act, they carry themselves. My experience is they carry themselves professionally.
Nick Palmer next. Give an optimistic look at the Red Wings' future. Give an optimistic look at the Pistons' future, and give me an optimistic look at the Tigers' future. I don't know. It's going to be tough.
Well, Red Wings is you're just banking on. Yzerman's done it in Tampa. He's drafted fairly well. He pulled them out of complete salary cap hell.
But what year are we on the Stevie Yzerman thing?
Where they were, which is brutal. And the NHL sucks. Like I don't know that I could truly invest in the NHL, because here's the problem for the Red Wings. Once you get good, you get like 3 years. And then you're in cap hell again, and you got to start with a 40-year rebuild. I mean, the NHL fucking sucks. I hate their hard cap, but that's their. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Watching my buddy who covers the Blackhawks, watching their demise and slow rebuild. It is like you get 3 years, and then it's a 40-year rebuild. That is the NHL model, and I'm sure there are examples that are.
But didn't the Blackhawks? They went through a nice little run there. But then you have to kind of rebuild. Now they got the #1 overall pick. This kid's going to be great, and it just seems like we never have things work in our favor. In any of these Red Wings, Pistons, Tigers, we haven't had any kind of luck so far.
The Pistons, I would argue, are like name an NBA franchise you think is in better shape than the Pistons.
Well,
other than
the ones
Nuggets
that made the playoffs,
not all of them. Not all of them.
Well, not all of them, but I mean,
the Pistons are in a pretty good space because they got young guys who they still hope are their franchise guys on small contracts that they've drafted, And think about who the Pistons were before, when it was like, KCP and Andre Drummond. You're building around these guys who never were going to.
But that doesn't mean we're not sick of waiting. Oh, that's what I mean. Like, it's just we're just complaining because we want one of these fucking teams to be good. That's all it is. We're not trying to give anybody shit. It's just like, all right, how many fucking years do you need? Because all we hear as Detroit fans is, you just got to give it time.
Tigers, I would say, is that there is no salary cap, that Scott Harris has now seen it for a year, that you have to think that this is going to be an offseason where some stuff's finally done. Otherwise, people will get really frustrated, and they play in the worst division in baseball.
Joey Malidge next. Why is Eric Schultz always up first?
We had this question a couple weeks ago. Eric's getting a lot of questions here because Eric is a part of this podcast in a very meaningful way. He
ran one of our contests.
Not one. I mean, every year he keeps track of the standings importantly, and when I get behind, he's there. He's like the backstop for this thing. And there, if we could use him for more, we would.
So if you want to intern, that's basically what you got to do, Joey. We'll bump you up.
And by the way, if Eric Schultz had shit questions, that wouldn't have been we wouldn't have kept him there. It would have been like, maybe.
Joey Malidge next. Would you rather speak every language or play every instrument extremely well? I feel we've had this one too.
But it's a good July one. What would you rather have?
It's easy. Every instrument.
Yeah, I'm torn.
That would be
I would go language. I would go language.
But if you could be like a professional musician on a stage with everybody, I mean,
that's true.
God
be badass.
Damn, give me that all day. I've been to concerts. It looks amazing to be that person.
To be able to walk in any country and any culture and speak any language would be pretty amazing.
Shit.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It'd be a tough call for me.
What if you don't go to any other countries?
Here's the question: do I have to continue to practice all these things? I fucking hated practicing the trombone in 8th grade. So what I don't want to have to do is, like, if I can speak every language, and especially if I can play every instrument without having to practice the instrument,
dude,
then I'm good.
I'd play anything all day. If you can pick it up and play it well, shit.
Give me the piano.
House full of instruments.
The other thing is you're asking somebody at a different age, I would have given you a different answer. Like, so if you give me, 22-year-old Graham in college, I'm taking the instrument thing because that's going to do me well.
I think in college, though, if you can speak every language, that would be decent, too. If you went to a school with a lot of students that came from elsewhere.
Yeah, no.
Still the instrument. Next one from Joey. Would you rather be able to watch every movie always for the first time, or every time you heard a song, it was the first time? So is that Alzheimer's then, basically?
No.
It runs in my family, so I'm going to get it eventually.
So I know I would the first time of a song, while it can be fun, I actually like when I've liked a song but I'm not tired of it, and it's the third or fourth time. Give me the movie, because there are so many movies out there that I love, and to like be able to watch them and enjoy them, it is to be able to watch The Notebook and have not seen it before would be just.
After drinking for 20 years, though, I do have that with some movies because I was drinking all the time, so I don't remember a lot of them. So it is new for me some ways.
Well, that is one way to do it. It's
great to be able to remember stuff.
Just be hammered. Yeah, just be hammered. All
right. Jay Riemenschneider next. What's the worst season for MSU football? Last year, going 5-7 and missing a bowl after maybe some false optimism from the previous 11-win season, and putting Tucker as a coach in question. Or 2019 with the 5 losses in a row, culminated by a demolition by Michigan that basically ended D'Antonio's tenure.
The worst season is last year, because the D'Antonio era I don't think was going to end all that well, and it sped it up. Whereas if 2019 doesn't happen the way it did, there's a chance that D'Antonio stays into the pandemic, into the peak transfer portal era, and I don't know where things are right now. I think so that in some ways is a painful at the moment for people, but a positive in certain ways. Whereas last year, I don't think there's a whole lot of positives other than it probably reset expectations a little more realistically, but people would have been just as happy if they had been like 8-4 and they had seen some warts from the team. Like if they could have had some of the things go wrong last year where you realize they're a ways away, where they're not as deep as you thought because a couple injuries really affect them, but they still get to 8-4 and have a decent vibe, that would have been much more ideal.
Next one from Jay. What if Rashid had actually guarded Robert Horry? What if Torrey Hunter had caught David Ortiz's grand slam? And what if, he doesn't have trouble with the snap?
These are all great what ifs.
But wouldn't that still be just a Michigan State loss? I mean,
they would have lost in 2015, so that'd be a little different. Ebling and Rexford wouldn't have a book.
That's true.
The Sheed Robert Horry thing. Like I just moved to Kalamazoo, by the way, where I worked for a little while.
Kidding.
And a buddy came down to watch that game 5. And I remember watching Rashid leave Robert Horry on the wing, and I remember him hitting it, and we went out and just sat silently on my balcony for like half an hour. We had no interest in like conversation. We just knew that was a bad loss. We knew that was a big deal.
But you love Rashid, so you were kind of like,
it sucked. Yeah, because they had won
got there. I don't know.
And they'd won it the year before. Torrey Hunter, that one. I
His
remember.
name is Big Shot Bob, by the way. You might want to guard him at the end of the game.
No doubt. Torrey Hunter, when his back slams into the little bandbox that is a Little League park that is Fenway that ought to be torn down because it's not Major League regulation, that pissed me off. Like they should have won the World Series that year, and that
can't tear down Fenway, man.
By the way, if you go through a moment like if somebody brings up Big Shot Bob, Torrey Hunter not able to catch David Ortiz home run, anything like that, and the best, most soothing way to get over it, Groovy Donuts, by the way. And if you've got a July 4th party, whether you're inviting Jason Nick and you got all sorts of fireworks and you're going to blow off each other's hands, you don't need a full finger to eat a Groovy Donut. And Groovy Donuts has great July 4th fireworks. They don't have fireworks. Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com to check out their offerings this weekend. Just some fantastic stuff as always.
And you can pick up a donut with a stump.
That's right.
You just put it in there.
You can stick your stump of a finger that you've blown a firework off through the middle of a donut, and just they're not that thick that you can't hang on to a donut with a stump of a finger. So great for July 4th. Go to groovydonuts.com or swing by either location Thursday through Saturday. Let me try this one more time. Fix that in post. Thursday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Williamston, and also on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing.
Next one from Jay. Graham, you always say, good show, man, to Jason after every show. But is that really the truth? Is it truthfully always a good show?
Rarely. That's one of the great lies of the show.
Yeah, we just say it. Yeah. Sometimes. I think recently, we've had a good run where we've had a good time and some laughs, but definitely you do, 800 of these fucking things.
Well, and I
can't hit it out of the park every time.
I think it started after I thought we had a genuinely good show. Like I'd say, hey, good show, man. And then it became sort of the way we ended the show.
Right.
But at first, I think it started with a way to end. It was just something.
So it all started with a good show, and we just haven't stopped saying it.
Yeah, right.
Professor next. My wife heard me listening to the pod earlier this week. She told me, "Oh, I like that guy's voice." I have no idea which one of you she was referring to. Who do you think she was referring to? Is this grounds for divorce? Is there a national media voice you hate?
It's probably your voice. I sound like
we do. Maybe that's what she heard, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's so hot."
Nobody's ever said that.
So hungry. I wonder what he looks like.
Oh, he looks like.
We do sound the same a little bit, so who knows? It's kind of it could go either way.
It is not grounds for divorce. It's gonna be a long life if you're.
Well, if she starts DMing one of us, then that's a reason for divorce.
We'll let you know if that comes up. National media voice you hate.
Skip Bayless.
Yeah,
I've never met a face. I've never met a Skip Bayless fan. Kudos to him for making $7 million with his bullshit, but it's even admitted that they make up stuff, that their pre-show meeting is just like, oh, that's your take? I'll go the complete opposite. I've never understood Skip Bayless. Stephen A., I respect him because he does 80 jobs at ESPN, so I get him a little bit, but Skip Bayless' ass.
So there's a guy who sometimes, and I don't often run into him, but the guy named Jason McIntyre, who sometimes does the producing for, not the producing, but whatever the role is, the second chair there for Colin Cowherd's show. And
oh yes,
I cannot stand that guy. And he has horrible takes, and it just
Cowherd himself is
Yeah, it can be annoying voice-wise, but McIntyre is like just one of those. I just can't. At the very beginning, I remember when Mike Greenberg at ESPN started doing Sports Centers. This is like 1990s, probably when I'm in high school, coming home from lunch and watching him. I hated his voice initially, but
he's got a stupid-looking face.
Got over it. Yeah.
Bo McJunkins next. Do you think at some point Graham will have to pull Cohen Carr aside like the old guy from Home Alone with Kevin and say, I know what people are saying about me to you, but just know it isn't true. I don't hate you.
Yeah, I don't hate Cohen Carr. I was hoping to go to Moneyball on Thursday night. And for those who weren't there, Cohen Carr put on a show. He's a showman. He gets it. And I don't fault him for that because ultimately, different people do different things at Moneyball. Like if you watch Jaden Akins right now, he is going through the motions. He's there because he's supposed to be there. He's going to let other people get involved. He's not going to get hurt. That's what Jaden Akins is not going to do this summer. And you see Tyson Walker having a lot of fun throwing alley-oops in pick and roll alley-oops to Carson Cooper. Carson Cooper looks pretty good. Kohler looks like a guy playing with an edge. You're like, wow, shit, this guy's Moneyball. He's slimmed down. There's a lot of stuff to watch. Freshmen, people want to see. There's different levels of competitiveness. There's different levels of bad shot taking. Cohen Carr's role here, and it's been hyped to be that, is to entertain with Dunked, and he did it perfectly. But he is not like it's not like he's shown anything else yet, nor will he probably all summer in terms of like, look at those handles as he gets to the rim. Look at how he snares those rebounds above people.
He's a basketball player. Of course he has handles.
Well, it's not everybody does. Miles Bridges didn't have handles.
Well, he's not Cohen Carr, apparently.
That's so yeah, no.
So you didn't go Thursday?
No, I went Thursday.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did go. What do you mean?
I thought you said you didn't end up going Thursday.
No, I went Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I wrote about it. Thanks for reading. 2 counts.
Sorry. Sports Guy 1919. Could a group of a 5-team, use the 12-team playoff to turn it into the Gonzaga of college football? Play in a weak conference and make the playoffs every year. Draw to recruits is stat pad regular season against weak competition, then get a chance against good competition in playoff.
I'm not saying it couldn't work. A couple things would need to happen. One, there need to be this was sort of a proven NFL track because that's what matters to those guys a lot too. And frankly, at a lot of positions, you can get to the NFL from anywhere. I mean, we've seen it. My best example of this, and I should probably pull up a more recent stat, but I just remember this one specifically. In the 2009 Super Bowl, whatever it was, the Packers won. There were 18 guys from the SEC in that Super Bowl. There were 15 guys from the Big Ten, and there were 15 guys from the MAC. Like, that just gives you a sense of just how guys are from everywhere. So you could do it in that sense. You'd have to have a decent NIL deal, too. And so you could do it somewhere if you had old money. Like, my old school that I covered, Western Michigan, could do it because they have old money with the Stryker family and that gave $500 million to the school. And, like, if they wanted to say, let's play big-time football at Western Michigan, we're going to have a payroll where everybody here is making a couple $100,000 a year, or at least the top 30 guys on the team, however they wanted to break it down. You might actually be able to generate some recruits who had options elsewhere. It would also, I think, take that a little bit to kind
really
of
like T. Boone Pickens, right back in the day. He would pour so much money into that university. Imagine with the NIL thing, if he were still alive, he could still break people off.
I think it would be harder to do in football. But if you got on a roll with some momentum and you had some NFL success, because, Gonzaga initially wasn't what they were. Like, you think about what's his nuts who left Gonzaga for Minnesota, the coach before Mark Few. What was his name? Hold on. Jesus.
Jerry Tarkanian.
Fuck you.
Rick Pitino. Cotton Fitzsimmons. Cotton Fitzsimmons.
Dan Monson.
Oh, yeah.
So back in the day, like, you think about that now, who the hell would leave Gonzaga basketball for Minnesota? But back then, that was a step up. So it began as a really good, consistent mid-major, and it won itself into something else. So you'd have to have some early success and then turn it into something, and it would be harder to do in football, but I guess not impossible. And the playoff berths could potentially be there in a 12-team playoff where it seemed like a hot place to go.
Neurotic with this one. What will the MSU football games against Central and Richmond tell us? What won't they tell us?
Well, they'll tell us if there's a red flag about Michigan State a little bit. You know, I remember the Bowling Green game in 2017. It's when you covered a team maybe too long when you're like, I remember the Bowling Green game in 2017. Just pull it out. No, I'm just kidding. That's one of the advantages of being around is you can recall things that are relevant. But in that game, Michigan State couldn't get a push up front against Bowling Green in the opener. And that team wound up winning 10 games, 9 games in the regular season, had a good season. It was a bounce-back year. But right away, you're like, oh, okay, that's an issue. If you can't run the ball and you can't get a push against Bowling Green, you're not going to get a push in the Big Ten. So there are things that become red flags if you can't do them against the Central Michigans and Richmonds of the world. So it's more about proving if you can dominate those teams, you at least have a chance in the Big Ten. If you can't in a certain area there, then you got a real problem.
Neurotic. Aside from the Front 43 and Midtown Brewing Company, who makes the best burgers in Lansing?
So there's a place in downtown Lansing called Envie that has like a pickle burger that is just really phenomenal. It's a great date place right on Washington Avenue. There are lots of good places, and you know how I feel about Front 43 and Midtown Brewing Company and their menus and burgers. But Envie is something I would recommend in downtown Lansing.
Matt C. next. Is there anything more useless than a politic rants on Twitter? Looking at you, Couch.
Yeah, it's fairly useless. Sometimes you feel good for a minute, and then you got to deal with the comments. Yeah, I don't know. Usually I try. I've tried to stay away from this stuff more and more because I have a platform. Like, I have a platform that's not Twitter if I have an opinion or a column I want to write, and usually I try and keep it local where I'm relevant. And so write the column. Don't tweet. If you really feel that strongly about it, write the column. So I try not to. Every once in a while I have a long-standing cranky opinion or something I believe firmly in, and I have to get it out.
Next one from Matt. If we can't have national championship or bust expectations with this MSU basketball team, what would it take for you guys to have those expectations? I don't know if they would ever get there.
You can't do it in college basketball, I don't think. Well,
I mean, you can be stacked, but I'd still go, all right.
So, no, here would be the scenario. What do you think about this? If you make the Final Four, so say this particular team this year, instead of getting to the Sweet 16, had reached the Final Four, and then they'd all come back.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, the only thing left to accomplish is the net. I think that's the big thing. It's a group has to have very little. If the 99, the team in 2000 had that national championship or bust in a way because they'd just been to the Final Four. And so I think there's a little of that. It really takes what else you've accomplished. I think the team in 2020, sorry, let me try that again. In 2020, where the season got canceled, had a little bit of that because they had just been to a Final Four with that group. And now you've got Tillman and Cassius again, and they were getting going. So what it really takes,
championship or bust, though?
Well, but it's sort of, in a sense, I mean, it bust in the sense it's not like you are bad, you're horrible, you didn't win the championship, but it's like to really feel satisfied, it takes a national championship. Whereas I think this coming team, while people will be disappointed if they don't win it all and they lose at some point, I think if they lost in a Final Four, and they got to a Final Four, people would be, long-term, would feel pretty good about that team.
Next one from Mean Joel Green. Based on Moneyball picks, the broad bet worked. Couch, are you down to an A-cup?
Trying to work on it, yeah. Absolutely. It's nice. Doing a few push-ups, eating a little less.
Sucks getting older. Just getting tits.
Yeah, it's awful.
David Jackson, especially if you don't do push-ups or anything, you let it go. It's brutal. David Jackson, if Dennis Rodman is correct and Larry Bird would have to play in Europe today, what does that make Rodman? A teammate in Europe.
Yeah, no, it's just such a anti-white guy basketball player take, and it's ridiculous with Bird. Two things about Bird. Bird, like a lot of the Europeans, there is a theory about why there are more like white Europeans than white Americans in the NBA. And it's because at the early stages, white Americans don't go play against the best competition in certain pickup courts. They play in suburbs against people who look like them or aren't great, whatever. That's sort of been a theory. I don't know if it's 100% true, but Larry Bird understood at a young age he had to play he played against mostly inner city dudes who were older than him. He understood that's how to get good. Like he had no fear of that stuff, and he was just a magician in a lot of ways. Just such a Rodman. Look, I love the Bad Boys. There are parts of Dennis Rodman.
But that's a long time ago.
Yeah, but he's also a whack job. I love Rodman, but he's a little off the
spaz, if you will.
Yeah, and I love that somebody immediately posted a 2-minute clip of Larry Bird just schooling Dennis Rodman in games.
It's funny that Larry Bird is actually at his age now. He looks like a bird.
We always
I saw a video of
him.
I understand, but now he had the big, like the kind of hair, and I was like,
sort of like John Chaney at Temple.
Just getting old is just complete ass. Again, David Jackson, who was better between Kobe and LeBron, and why would anyone sane pick LeBron?
You're a LeBron guy in this.
Yes, I do love LeBron. I love those Miami Heat teams. I've watched him ever since he was in high school, but he never had that killer. If he had Kobe's killer instinct, he'd have 7 championships. If he wasn't trying to be general manager LeBron, I think he would have more championships. But I have to say, to his question, I would take Kobe Bryant just because of his competitiveness, and he just wanted to kill you on the court, where LeBron, he kind of wanted to be friends.
I don't know if he wants to be friends. I think LeBron makes the right basketball play, and for him, that's sometimes moving it, whereas Kobe, the right basketball play was usually, although he didn't always, taking the shot. I
hated Kobe back then.
I think they're just different players. To me, the bigger thing that's hurt LeBron is what you said second there, is him playing general manager. He's actually hurt himself with some of the stuff he's demanded. It
got Tristan Thompson paid a couple times.
He did.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he did.
Next one from David. Joker versus Shaq or Ewing or Akeem. What would happen?
Are we talking one-on-one or just – let's just do this as players. Like, they're very different. I mean, Akeem was also a great defensive player. People forget how great Akeem was.
Underrated.
Shaq was just physically dominant in his prime. You just couldn't stop him. And Ewing would put my fourth of this group. But I would put Joker, Shaq, and Akeem to me are all on the same plane, same level. They're very different players. And what Joker does is Jokic is the way he moves. I mean, he's just different than other guys. He makes guys around him so much better. I don't know that I'd put him above Shaq or Akeem, but I'd absolutely put him on that plane. Ewing I'd put fourth.
I think Shaq or Ewing, though, they would get just pick and rolled to death. But where Akeem is he's an unbelievably smart player, and I think that he would have adjusted to Joker to not let him do certain things. But I think Joker would still get, his averages on those guys, right? Because he's just moving around and way Denver, the Nuggets use their offense.
And Denver probably would not have. Would Denver have Joker guarding Shaq? I don't think they would. That's the other thing, because you just get in foul trouble, and that's the thing on the other end. I don't think either one of those guys could deal with the other one defensively.
Let's take a break and explore that more after JD, it is July 1st. Why shouldn't I believe the football team can replicate its 2021 season? Almost everything is lining up offensively. Unknown quarterback situation, potentially stud running back, with an enhanced and deeper talent on the defensive side. Don't tell me it's because they have a tough schedule.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll say this. The potentially stud running back is the big difference. And maybe they do have a very good running back. But think about who Kenneth Walker is now in MSU football history for one season. Like, who's better for one season? Lorenzo White, maybe? For 1 year. And I know that other guys have put up stats at that level, Le'Veon Bell. And so if you have a Lorenzo White, Le'Veon Bell level player, and I don't know that they do, but Kenneth Walker just elevated Michigan State a lot. And that caught people off guard. He was such a complete running back. So if that were to exist again, absolutely, there are lots of things that could be replicated. I do think that Michigan State could catch people off guard and by surprise. And I think one of the reasons to be hopeful for Michigan State this year is there are as much reason to be hopeful as there is to be concerned. We just don't know a lot. We don't know what the quarterback's going to look like. The offensive line definitely has more depth. Are they good? I don't know. A lot of receivers who are intriguing, some proven guys. Don't know if they have a dude. I think they've got enough talent there. I think they've got a good stable of backs. Defensively, I do think they'll take a step. But we got to see it. Like, there's just a lot of unknowns. But you can turn either one of those. Those things can go either way. And while I don't think they'll replicate 2021, there is a chance that they're just better than we think, and then you're looking at an 8-win team.
I think it could go either way. JD, why doesn't Biden simply incentivize student loan forgiveness for those who move into downtown Lansing?
I'd love it. I don't think it's legal, but I would, me in downtown Lansing, I would sign up for anything to help downtown Lansing.
Well, Biden can make it legal.
He can't.
No?
I think the court
President of the United
said it the
States.
other day. Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Nestle Quick Hotel next. Graham, do you think expanding the social districts to allow one continuous district from Rio Town to Old Town would help?
Yes and no. Yeah, I mean, yes. You they're a little far apart. Like you can't. It's just too far apart. Rio Town has a better chance. There are some places you do have to, like. There's if you got a particular party store you got to knock down and get rid of because it makes people feel a little unsafe when they walk by. If you got some, you got to think about that stuff. And there are some areas between Rio Town and downtown, small areas, but if there's a block that makes people concerned, that's a problem, and you got to fix those problems. I don't know whether you can ever have a continuous district, but you should have something that people really feel safe walking or riding bikes if they want to between those two, without question.
Nestle Quick Hotel with this one. The new concert venue sounds exciting, but why aren't more acts coming to places like Breslin, Spartan Stadium, or even Jackson Field?
Well, the last two, it has to do with grass. Spartan Stadium, I mean, if you have a turf field, you'll get the concerts. That's why before they, when they redid the turf at one point, that's when they had the Rolling Stones. When they've redone the grass, they've done some things. They're not going to they're not going to ruin the field for a concert. Jackson Field, the same thing to some degree. Like they'll do certain things when they're putting in a new field. It's not also baseball fields aren't great concert venues.
Isn't Breslin kind of the acoustics are bad?
I don't know. I've been to things. I saw All for One there in 1995.
Oh, recently then.
Yeah. I mean, I saw Jesus Christ Superstar was really good there in about the same era. I do think that the concert venue in downtown Lansing is needed, and the size of it is needed. There are acts that fill stadiums, there are acts that fill arenas, and then this is like an 800 seat type place. Lansing really lacks that sort of venue for
and like
concerts.
A comedy venue too.
Yeah.
They had one of those down there where acts could come through and go there. But Ken Chu, isn't it surprising that no one's ever accidentally said we've just got to overcome diversity?
People have sort of said it. That's sort of being said a fair bit. I think that's one of the.
You come to Ovid, Ken.
Yeah, that's the slogan on the on the sign when you walk into Ovid. I don't mean to laugh about that.
I do, actually. It's funny. Bo McJungans, is it fair to say that Troy Weaver is Mr. Ass Jr.? This guy better figure it out quick. No. Van Gundy is Mr. Ass Jr., right?
Yeah. Yeah,
and Avila's Mr. Ass. I mean, Troy Weaver, you got to give him some time. You got to remember, Van Gundy absolutely dismantled this team and set them back like 10 to 15 years. You can't get that. I can understand the frustration with Weaver, but you got to just pump the brakes on him.
I am
Mr. Ass.
I am 100% still in on Weaver. To me, it's the most.
But you have to be.
It's
right?
the most promising since the early Dumars days that the Pistons have had, and I get that the rate of the rebuild is not as fast as people would like. There are things that aren't being done. I actually think the moves they made, given the free agent class, and I know that one of the things that people don't like is that people say, well, or the team will say, and writers will say they're going to push the money to next year when there's a better free agent class by bringing on 1-year deals and things like that. And then next year the free agent class sucks, and those same writers sort of forget they ever said that. And I get that. I get that's frustrating. But I don't hate the moves they made. And the thing is, they're still trying to figure out what they have. You got to let these guys grow in. They're not trying to go get your core piece. You're trying to supplement your core pieces and help these guys develop and win. I am not anti Troy Weaver. In fact, I may order a groovy donut with Troy Weaver's face just to be able to eat it in appreciation for Troy Weaver.
That would have to be a hubcap size.
Something like that.
All right. Bo McJungans, after the ESPN layoffs, am I crazy for not getting what the hype is around Pat McAfee or Mike Greenberg? No, you're not. I've wondered about Pat McAfee, and I've given it a try, and I've just gone, okay, it's not for me. Mike Greenberg, I think he's a great host. I do have Get Up on in the morning on the TV, so I get Greenberg. I never understood Mike and Mike back in the day. It was a really, really popular show, but it wasn't for me. But
yeah, and I like McAfee. Okay, so I mean, and obviously they're banking on making a lot of money on on the McAfee deal. Like, the McAfee deal is not correlated with the layoffs. Obviously, they need money to pay McAfee, but that they're thinking they're going to make a lot of money off the McAfee show. Mike Greenberg is, you talk about like a big tent show for a long time, Mike and Mike in the Morning. It was not my favorite show either. I'd have it on occasionally, but
he's a good host.
But a lot of people listen to that show. I mean, that was a cash cow for a long time, and Greenberg's somebody they can use in a lot of different roles, and he's not off-putting despite his voice in 1995.
Any of the layoffs bum you out? I mean, obviously you want to be bummed for anyone that loses their job, but I'm talking about as a personality. Like,
well, Nick Friedel.
I saw that.
Is a really good friend of mine, and we've had him on this show.
On the show, yeah.
Yeah, and I had drinks with him in New York when Michigan State was there this
Seems
year.
Like a nice dude.
Great dude. One of my favorite people. Did a Talking Spartans with him at the draft with Denzel Valentine at one point. I mean, like, just a guy I've known for a long time through my buddy Scott Powers.
He'll get another gig, obviously.
Yeah, no, a lot of these guys
like
will. And Stan, not Stan Van Gundy, Jeff Van Gundy. I don't, he'll get another gig, and he's a fantastic analyst. And so,
and Susie Kolber, I get, she's been doing it for 30 years. It's impressive, but I can see if you have to cut some people to get someone that is highly popular right now, it sucks.
I don't think the two things are correlated. I think they're just trying to remake their budget.
Like Kellerman, he was just there because he was on First Take with Stephen A, and now they're just like, okay.
Well, and he was on a lot of different things, but now they're bringing McAfee into that role. So,
right. Bo McJunkins, do you think MSU not going after a transfer QB after Thorne left was a good indication on how this coaching staff feels about Kim and Hauser?
No, I just think it would have been like Kim and Hauser would have been frustrated in a world where, and again, these guys, the transfer portal window was over for both of them. But in a world where you have to manage a roster and quarterback room and try to keep guys around and believe that they'll have a chance to one day be the guy, recruiting over them, so to speak, with an upperclassman would not have made sense of this group. I do think they feel like they have enough. I should say that. So, yes, I do think if they thought they were absolutely screwed, number one, they would have made it more apparent to Thorne that he was the guy. Number two, they would have gone and gotten a veteran. I think they think they're okay. And but you got to be careful. Having more than 3 quarterbacks in a quarterback room is going to get tricky. It really is.
Next one from Bo. How many pairs of pants will Joe Klatt need for every Michigan game he calls?
To Joel's credit, he makes
7 pair.
He makes fun of how many Michigan games he has to call. Like, he doesn't choose
sure
this.
Hilarious.
Well, I mean, I've seen him on shows where he's like, I was at the Big House for 6 weeks. And he's sort of poking fun at not seeing anything else and always being there. But
you've met Joel Klatt, right?
I've never met Joel Klatt. I've done it. What's that?
I met him once at the Big Ten Media Days. Nice guy, came on Eblin's show, but you could just tell the aura,
Yeah.
It's fine.
Was that
he's worth 7 pants.
Was that the Big Ten Media Days that you and I were at?
Yes. Kenny Willekes photo, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Why is it interesting? Because you didn't run into... We were in the media area. You were probably somewhere else. Remember, there was that basement kind of area where we were all, and then he just did bang, bang, bang. But
yeah, I'm not. We didn't. We had a few guests. We had Willekes. We had another player or two. It's not really
our trying to talk yourself into. We did good things there. I mean, sorry,
it's not really our scene.
Well, Klatt came in at the afternoon anyway. But
I'm not mad we didn't have Joel Klatt on. I mean, if we wanted to have Joel Klatt, we'd fucking get Joel Klatt.
Yeah, I guess so. Plus size softball dad finally had an opportunity to be online during our vacation. First thing I did was search to see if there were any new football pledges. Am I doing vacation incorrectly?
No. Vacation should be what makes you happy and what gets rid of stress in your life. One of my favorite vacations, my senior year in high school, 1997, we're in Saco, Maine. And these early days of the internet, right? You don't have the internet on your phone or anything like that still. I would go down to either the Saco Library or I don't think I went into Portland, but Saco Library, and I would print off the coverage of the Lions and the Pistons free agency stuff. I would print off Detroit News, Detroit Free Press, just different articles I found around. I would have a stack of 10 articles, and I would take them to the beach with the Boston Globe and the Portland Press Herald. And I would sit there on the beach like an old man and start going.
How long ago was this?
I was 17 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was 5 years ago.
No, 17.
But where is plus size where he can't? Now, is he doing is he self ignoring the internet while he's there, or he just is like in another country where you have to go somewhere.
Or you just got the family around. There's not a lot of time. Yeah, no, it's a good.
Really, there's never just to grab your phone and go.
One of the best advantages. I don't know where he is currently, and he lives in Maine. But one of the best things about like going overseas is I truly do disconnect because the time difference helps. Like when you're going to bed, the Tigers game is just starting. Like you're not part of those conversations. When you get up at 8, it's 3 a.m. back here, and nobody's active, and it helps you completely stay away and disconnect. Well, other than that,
Abilene's up all night. Dark Mantonio next. Jason, MSU has a 50-50 chance versus Michigan. Not a slappy Michigan fan comment here. And yes, I know it's a hated rival that MSU gets up for. And yes, anything can happen in one single game. But I'm with Graham and can't see 50-50 probability because these two programs are at an entirely different level right now. All right. Understand. We were just going through the schedule. I think that there's been, where one team has been better than the other, and there's just always a crazy kind of game where it's kind of close.
And to be fair to your point too, and while I disagree, and I think it's 60-40, 70-30 Michigan, I do think that there are examples where we just didn't know until it happened, right. Or that it didn't matter that one team was better, or that it was a lot closer. I mean, 2016. Michigan State was a 3-9 team, and what was that final? Like 32-23, and they were 25-point underdogs. I mean, we've seen seasons where Michigan wound up, and I don't think Michigan's going to be bad this year. So that's one difference between like 2020 and this. But absolutely.
But it's late in the season, and injuries can happen. You just never know. I don't know. Dark Mantonio, have we ever had 2 of the 4 major American sports have 2 undoubted no-brainer, once-in-a-generation draft picks available in the same year?
Talking NHL and NBA here.
So what was LeBron in 03?
Yeah, so let's see. I don't know who. Man. Carson Palmer, not the guy. Let's see let's see 03 NHL draft. Marc-Andre Fleury? Not quite. Let's see here. What's the other sport? What other sports do we have? Baseball.
Oh, you guys did a 3-hour podcast today?
Delman Young, I think, was the nope. So nope. Not 2023. There may have been other.
Couch in the room. Yeah. We Google for you. Dark Mantonio. Have we ever had? Oh no, Graham. Is there video evidence available of you and your unbelievable, undeniable, unstoppable basketball prowess?
It's all. The evidence is all witness based.
The rumor is though that you don't want to play so we can get some film.
Well, right now I'm 43 and a little. I mean, I still play every Sunday and Wednesday, and I still play fairly frequently. I can still do some things, but I'm not where I was 4 years ago, where I would have felt okay.
4 years ago,
or even 10 years ago.
Like you're 24 years old.
10 years ago, when I was at my best, 33. Yeah. So
good old days.
10 years ago, there's evidence of Demetrius Ward from covered him in Western Michigan, Kalamazoo, and from Detroit Pershing. Anyway, he went over to play in Germany, played in like the German B leagues. Good player, like all MAC type player. Comes back, he's running in the pickup games at lunch at the IM building at Western Michigan's campus, and I'm like 32, 33, playing at my highest level in those pickup games. And I asked him once, because all the locals in the foreign leagues or all the you get 2 Americans and everybody else is local. And I asked him if I could play. And he said, oh, yeah, you'd start. Greatest compliment ever got in my life. 33 years old. I would start in the German
sure
B
you
leagues.
Didn't want you to just like get away from him?
No.
If I tell this guy,
Demetrius likes me. We're good.
This guy keeps staring at me. Let's tell him. Gator, next. You guys are awesome. Graham, you're 100% wrong that MSU beat writers are bigger fans than scum writers are of U of M. Scum writers are the biggest fans of the university they cover, more than any other school in the country. Example. Dr. Anderson.
Did I say Michigan State fans are bigger fans than Michigan?
You're asking
right?
the wrong dude.
I don't remember that. And if I did, I didn't mean to say it like that. I don't. And the Dr. Anderson thing, we talked about a little bit. It just, look, do I think it was all covered really, really well? No. Do I think it's different than the Nassar thing that it gets compared to, the Nassar situation, in terms of, the Nassar still being alive, it being more recent, the arrest, the trial on television. Like, there are just so many different factors, the national media, that just changed the way that felt.
Suburban Spartan Dad next. Graham, if you were the unchallenged ruler of America, no pesky checks and balances, how do you fix the American public education system?
Whew, there's a count.
Wait, what's wrong with it? Michigan Lottery, they donated $27 billion. What more do you guys need?
Yeah, you don't maybe tie it to property taxes. I would incentivize diverse experiences. Lots of things. I mean, I had the place I went, Lansing Sexton, in the 90s and what it was in the 80s, when people like Alan Haller went there, they'll tell you it was the Lansing School District had something that was delicate and really good at the time. Not perfect, but that experience is valuable, and there were some top-notch students at those schools, and trying to replicate that experience as often as possible for kids would be important. But to fix it, how you fund it would be a start, and then it's a good question.
DMB next. What happened between Luke Fickell and MSU before they went to Mel Tucker? Off the record info, please.
Obviously, can't give everything there. What I do know is I think Fickell could have had the job perhaps if he wanted it, but it was never actually, from what I understand, offered to Luke Fickell. So it wasn't like Luke Fickell turned them down. Their vibe was, and it was delicate because when they were talking to him and Mel Tucker was sort of waiting, and they people there wanted to talk to him. I do believe that Alan Haller from the jump wanted Mel Tucker. And that may turn out to be, Alan Haller's sort of ownership of being the one who hired Mel Tucker could be good or bad for him in the long run. He's going to be tied to Mel Tucker, even though he wasn't technically the athletic director at that time. Let's take a really quick break. When we come back, more of your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and iCasino and Sportsbook.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. If you're looking forward to cool summer nights at the lake or backyard gatherings, make Muskox's spring and summer flannel collection part of your summer experience. Muskox's lighter weight 3 seasons flannel is perfect for warmer weather without sacrificing Muskox's noted softness or high quality. Plus, Muskox donates 10% of every $100 purchased to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Visit GoMuskox.com to find the absolute best flannel for you and use our promo code CAW15 for $15 off your flannel order. Trust us, you've never felt more comfortable than you will in a Muskox flannel. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to the best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts. Guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Michigan. Hopcat is proud to be an official supporter of Peyton Thorne. Show your Spartan pride by ordering the iconic Peyton Thorne burger, created by the man himself. And don't forget about Spartan basketball. Hopcat is your pre-game headquarters for basketball all season long. Catch the game at any of our locations: East Lansing, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, and Holland. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit www.hopcat.com.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Firekeepers Casino and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app, bet the games we're betting, or swing by Firekeepers and Dacey's Sportsbook and Tap Room at Firekeepers Casino, just off I-94 near Battle Creek. Let's dig back into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions.
Jarrett, next. Which MSU basketball player from this upcoming season will have their number retired?
It's a good question. Like, if somebody was to have their number retired on this current team,
Hogard?
I think it'd have to be somebody younger, because I don't think there's a player like here. The one guy who's of a veteran that could maybe do it is if anybody has just one of those years, a Denzel Valentine senior year, Cassius Winston junior year, like anybody could bring themselves into that realm. And so Tyson Walker, if he, averaged 20 a game and they won a national you know what I mean? It's possible.
Yeah.
But I think most likely it's not somebody who's established. It would more like
Jackson. You want to say Jackson Kohler?
No, I want to say it would be somebody who's younger, who plays a smaller role on the team, the fears of the world, those sort of guys.
Jarrett, next. Should I be offended if people in Georgia don't say "ope" when they squeeze past me in the supermarket?
It's one of the great things about Michigan.
What's "ope"?
It's just sort of it's what's saying here in Michigan. It's "ope."
It is?
Yeah. Yeah, "ope." You don't say "ope"?
I mean, maybe. I didn't know it was a thing.
I don't. It might not be on the. It might not be on the sign in Ovid, but it's yeah.
Where diversity stops, right here. Yeah, but I just have never heard. You can't just say "excuse me." Excuse me.
Yeah, "ope" is
"ope."
Yeah,
it's say "ope," dude. I'm just.
Yeah, it's
okay, man.
It can be used in a lot of different ways. "Ope." It can be like it's sort of a friendly fuck. Oh fuck. Ope. Ope. Yeah. Ope. Yeah. "Ope" is just it's. Excuse me. Instead of boo. No. "Ope" is tremendous.
Matt Venny. How long until fans cry for Henry Hasselbeck to be the starting quarterback? I have the spread set at 5 minutes ago.
Well, he's only 3 stars, so he'll never get that cry. That's the thing, and it's really not based on anything anybody's seen or reality. It's just based on the hype and what people want to see, and the fact that the other thing is there are other young quarterbacks who people haven't seen yet, so I don't think you'll get that as much. If he was the guy coming in and everybody else was like proven backup or established starter was struggling, if you didn't have guys like Caton Hauser and Sam Levitt, then I think you might have a chance.
So his dad lost his job in the ESPN cuts, but somehow his brother Tim is still on. I just never we talk about McAfee. I've never understood Tim Hasselbeck. How does he survive all this stuff? He doesn't really add. He's a vanilla dude who doesn't really add much. I've never understood it.
Who's he with now? Is he still with ESPN?
Tim Hasselbeck. Tim, his brother, and Matt was on the NFL show, and he just got let go.
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay. I'm sure he's got money to bounce back from, but his brother Tim survived. Not that I want him. I don't know. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just ask. Matt Venny, going to Traverse City next week. Any food suggestions?
I'm not a big Traverse City traveler. Usually when I go up that way, I go to Leland or Northport or somewhere else on the M22
fancy.
corridor, yeah. I mean, Traverse City is okay. So I don't really have great things for you. Sutton's Bay. I would take a drive and check out some of the other towns along the way.
I heard the fudge is good.
That's Mackinac Island, but close.
They don't have fudge there?
Well, they probably have fudge. You can probably find
cherries.
Cherries they have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Venny, what needs to exist less? Non-alcoholic beer, decaffeinated coffee, or unfrosted Pop-Tarts? Damn, that's a good question. I will say, as a former booze bag, I have tried the non-alcoholic beer, and coupled with Sky Mint, it makes you feel like you're a part of a party. But I've only had a few.
No, the answer here is clear. It's unfrosted Pop-Tarts need to go away, because it's like, what are we doing here? Like,
I don't know. Or decaffeinated coffee is a strong number 2 then.
No,
well, you just like the taste of fucking Sanka?
I love coffee. And so here's my problem, is at night, when I'm trying to like intermittent fast or not eat late, one of the things I do is I have coffee, because I like, especially if I'm working late, gives me the same taste and feel, same focus without the caffeine. So decaf coffee has a purpose. Non-alcoholic beers, just like you said, anything that helps people who aren't drinking feel a part of things in a setting, I appreciate.
Wait, undecaffeinated gets you like going?
No,
focused,
well, because it's the same taste. I feel like I'm I should be working. It's just sort of
just trying to focus on not thinking about food.
Correct.
Right?
I'm trying to think about not think about the frosted Pop-Tarts that are somewhere.
Frosted Pop-Tarts, man, that's terrible. Fart soup. Since when did the fries in a McDonald's medium become the size of what used to be a small? This is bullshit. I want 1990s era McDonald's sizes.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I'm not a big fries guy. I love the McDonald's cheeseburger.
No
big
fries.
fan of the cheeseburger. Not a fries guy. It's just greasy. It just makes me think of grease and greasy skin. And
whenever
grease.
I think of McDonald's fries, I think of Rico Beard, when he told me that he checks his bag for fries, and if it's not up to snuff, he goes back in to, where are my fries?
That is a story not worth telling, but it is presented by Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, where you can get a meal that isn't greasy fries, is just fantastic all the way around. Great place for brunch on the weekend, a date night. If you've never been there, I'm telling you, it's worth your time. The menus are great. The beer selection's great. Love the American Stout, one of my favorite beers all time. Love the vibe. It's got character to it. It's not just some chain place or anything like that. You will enjoy Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. MidtownBrewing.net is the website to learn more.
And by the way, Rico Beard, always back in guy as well. Fart soup next.
What does that mean? Always back in guy. Oh, the car.
Like every parking lot, like you go to QD just to pick up something and you have to back in. It's just annoying. Fart soup next. If you were hard up for money and had to choose between turning tricks on the corner of Saginaw and MLK or picking up a shift at Hawaii Spa, which do you choose? Fred Human visits Hawaii Spa 3 times a day, but Hondo lives near MLK in Saginaw and is fresh off a nasty divorce.
Probably should have cut the second part of this, but
so he's backed up.
Yeah,
this is what he's trying to say.
Apologies. Usually, like there's one of Hans' questions that did not make it today, and there's sometimes
what kind of trick do I have to turn though?
Yeah, so Hawaii Spa or the corner of.
Do I have to give HJs? I mean, is that what we're saying here? Who do you want to give HJs to?
Yeah, I'm
in a facility at Hawaii Spa.
I'm going Saginaw MLK because I think I have more autonomy, more ability to get out of situations and decide what I want to do. Whereas I feel like Hawaii Spa, once that customer came in, you'd be kind of trapped.
Or Hondo.
Or what's his name? The
just got divorced.
Owner of the Patriots.
Oh yeah, Robert Kraft.
Yeah. So I feel like
but he's got $1 billion though.
I still would rather be on the corner of MLK. I don't know.
If you're Robert Kraft, though, can't you just build one of those in your backyard?
It's fair.
And hire people that want to do it? Fart soup. If Couch was on an expedition to the Titanic and had to choose a 3-man crew, who out of the following people would he choose and why? The Rube, Fred Human, an old man with gas problems, Hondo, which is the same thing, Hans Jurgen, and a shirtless Verge Bonero. Why is Verge shirtless?
Where did that come from? 3-man crew out of the following people. Well, the Rube is going. I feel like
you're taking me with you.
I feel like
this gonna come. Are we coming back?
I don't know, but we're hoping to come back. I feel like you'd have a steady hand.
With with a remote control.
Hondo might be able to like put together some contraption. Hondo would be confident the whole way.
You think Hondo's MacGyver and he could come up with something?
I don't know Han. So out of this group, I would take Verge because he probably might be a problem solver. He's been a mayor. The Rube and Verge would be part of it. I don't.
A shirtless Verge Bonero. That's great.
You know, I might just take my chances with an old man with a gas problem because we don't know. Maybe that person's also a sea captain.
Mr. Benjen, what percent of what I read in your Moneyball quick take should I apply to the MSU season? 5% or less?
Well, I don't. Nothing there is I mean, I tried to keep a sort of an even keel to it, where you understand that what's happening is not necessarily going to all translate. So it's more than 5%. I mean, the idea is, like when I wrote the column about Jackson Kohler that went up this morning, like there's no doubt he has lost hadn't lost any weight really, but he's reshaped his body, and there's no doubt that he is driven and was humbled by last year. Those things are true. How much that matters and how different a player he becomes over the course of time, we'll see. That I'm not willing to take from Moneyball. But yeah, I would say, you know, it's you can lean on what I wrote in those quick takes. I've seen enough Moneyball not to get duped too much.
Benjen, got you good on the Fupa Chalupa bit. What was your last good gotcha moment?
And you have a good gotcha moment? Was it with your Teresa's dad and the ticket?
Oh, that was getting him. That was kind of a prank. I thought it was like a gotcha. Someone sends you something and you get got that way.
Well,
I was thinking 2 Girls, 1 Cup back in the day. Someone sent that. Have you ever seen that?
No, what's this? Is
I
it appropriate to say it?
Well, no. No. It's not. It's pretty gross.
Okay, maybe we don't.
You want to Google it?
Nope, don't want to do that
Sure?
anymore. Yep. We'll just leave.
I don't think the website's still up, but
that's okay. That's okay. It's probably for the best. I don't need that in my search history.
it's kind of like 2 girls eating something.
Okay,
that looks
we're
like ice cream.
gonna move on. We're gonna thanks Jesus fix that in post. I said we could move on.
All right.
Move on.
Some dude. Thanks. I thought you were going to give yours. The over-under.
I don't have a great one, but I wish I had one. I wish I had come up with some wholesome moment now.
2 Girls, 1 Cup. Check it out.
Not cool.
Some dude. The over-under on MSU basketball players having stress reaction foot injuries this year is 1.5. What do you got, boys? Which players get those injuries?
Jesus, dark.
Liz Frank fan.
I'm going to put it on the under because last year was 2 and that seemed like a lot. So we go under 1.5 for the stress reaction.
I'm not putting that
injuries.
on anybody though.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
going to
think.
say 0.
I'll see if the Firekeepers can put this on their iCasino and Sportsbook app. Hey, you.
They would make some money off it.
People would be. Which player? No, I'm not suggesting which players get foot injuries because that's a whole level of. Even if you don't want it to happen, suggest. I don't want that karma.
Some dude next. Why are meteorologists called this? Is studying meteors part of the curriculum? What does that have to do with the weather?
It's a really good question. We should, Chris.
Where's
Eastlick
at?
Eastlick. We could use a response if you when you hear this, if you could let us know, it would be fantastic.
Or Google it. Cracker Sofa. Will society ever adopt the zipper merge method when approaching construction zones?
I don't.
Never.
So I'm torn on this because I understand that the evidence is that it's the better way, right? But it's also it's not like people are doing it altruistically for the good of people. They want to get up there first. And so if the true zipper method requires everybody to be on board and you're not racing in front of 12 cars to do it. And so that's the other.
But just let somebody in and then you go.
Yeah.
It's simple. I always do it.
Yeah.
Someone goes and then I follow them.
We're not gonna do it in this country, I don't think.
Jesus.
Unless somebody comes out and just says, like you have to do this. Anything less is like
you ain't telling me what to do.
Illegal. Well, yeah.
Cracker Sofa. Graham, has the poor air quality affected your LSJ softball team's performance?
We had Thursday's game was canceled, which worked out for me because I was going to have to miss it for the Moneyball Pro-Am. So it canceled a game, and
so you were like, yes.
I wasn't thrilled because they tack them on to the back end of the season, and while I love softball season, I don't need it to go to like September. I just don't mind it ending in August at some point.
Next one from Cracker Sofa. Who wins Big Ten Freshman of the Week first? Booker, Fears, or Carr?
Who would your bet be?
Duh.
Colin Carr?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Big
Puts
Ten
on a show.
Freshman of the week to me would be, here's why I say Booker. Because there will be games early and against teams where athletically he's able to do some things that in the Big Ten his slenderness and lack of strength may hurt. So like they'll do those awards before the actual conference season starts, and I think Booker might have a couple games that give him a shot at that.
Gary Lipka next. How many of the players suspended for the tunnel incident at Michigan are on the current roster?
I have not looked at that lately, and I should have looked this up when I saw it this morning. Okay, all right. So, like, Kari Crump is on there, but the problem is the roster as we see it now is still the spring roster. So I don't know if anybody this isn't an updated roster. We'll get that in August. I don't know if anybody else has left or if anything is different. I think most of I'm trying to figure. I know it's a good question. I'm not going to sit here and stutter over it on the pod. But it was not something that wound up with guys getting kicked out of the program. And in terms of the updated roster, we'll know like August 1st. 1 month.
Cucker Tarlson next. Will Messi being in the MLS have any impact on the league's world standings? Monetary fame, and or respect? Or will this just be another wash-up pension plan in the MLS? To be honest, I don't watch almost any MLS because the level just isn't that of other continents. Will that change?
Not really. He's a guy late in his career who's, the world standing it's still like the 16th ranked league in the world, 15th around there, which isn't horrible.
But it's Messi at the end, right? Is it Miggy at the end bad?
No,
he's still a good player, right? Like,
still a really good player. This is more like LeBron 2 years ago, still really good. It's just not peak LeBron, not 2007
like David Beckham,
LeBron.
right? When he did that in the early 2000s.
And Messi's a better player than Beckham ever was, and he's a bigger. Beckham was a bigger star than he was player. A good player, if that makes sense. Like he was never the best player in England. He was just the most popular because he was married to a Spice Girl, and he's good looking and all that stuff. I don't think it will. I think really they're going to have to expand the number of designated players they allow to like 5 per team. Change some of the salary cap stuff so they can compete with Liga MX, which is a better league in Mexico, and it's still the most popular league in America in terms of viewership.
Paul E. Show next. Steve Francis or Stephon Marbury? Harmonica or violin? Slap shots or back shots?
Give me peak Stephon Marbury. He had more better years in the NBA. Give me I like a violin, but harmonica with Springsteen is where I'm at. So, and that'll leave it at that.
I was a big Stevie franchise guy. Hans Jurgen, give me a new movie to watch.
Brand new one that you haven't seen?
That's all you.
Or just, yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen The Notebook, you should know. 5-Year Engagement. I'll give you this one because if you haven't seen it, it's one of the few types of movies that I have recommended that Jason didn't hate. So I would say
that is true. I remember that. It wasn't that much ass.
Yeah.
You know what? The movie that I want to watch again though, we talked about it the other day. Not you and I, but the wife. Frequency.
Oh yeah.
You remember that movie?
Yeah.
With Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
It's a good movie. Actually.
I would recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hans Jurgen, does MSU have a long snapper for 2023?
There are several on the roster. Yeah. No. The backup is transferred out. The guy who had the problems last year. So, and they've got. A fairly big commit apparently coming in for 2024. But that, special teams is going to be really fascinating because there are a lot of unproven dudes at key positions there.
Next one from Hans Jurgens. The prospect of beating Washington gives me a boner. How about you?
Pretty flaccid, but I think that it's I understand why people are that. I mean, that is the game that will swing the season in terms of buzz. It's very similar to the placement. It might be the same placement of the Miami game a couple years ago when they went down there and how that changed how people thought about the early Mel Tucker era and the excitement that was happening. And if they were to win that game, it would elevate the season to another level. I think people would be really, really fired up.
I thought you were about to say, I understand why it would give you a boner.
No, I would not.
Sounds kind of weird. Hans, I say MSU would have no chance of beating Florida State without Max Bulla, who was suspended for the postseason in 2013. So stop bringing that Florida State versus no-fly zone shit up.
This is a really good point, though. I do think, like, Michigan State had a chance to win the national championship in 2013, but we do forget that the Max Bulla suspension did happen. And while they won the Rose Bowl, and I think, Kyler Ellsworth was a worthy sub, and they had Darian Harris, and they had other guys who were, savvy players, that winning a playoff without Bulla would have been, if there was, or beating Florida State would have been, his absence would have been felt. So there's no question about that.
Next one from Hans. Pound for pound. Erie, Pennsylvania, or Gary, Indiana?
Been to both. Not really a huge fan of either. Give me Gary because it's closer to Chicago and Michigan.
But for what?
If you've got to live somewhere.
You would live in Gary, Indiana?
Over Erie, Pennsylvania. I don't like Erie.
Jesus, I guess not. No offense to Gary, Indiana.
I also hate that the Tigers AA is in Erie instead of Lansing, so fuck Erie.
Jake Hawkins. When would be the next best day to go check out Moneyball since I missed it this past Thursday?
Not next Thursday. And it's not that you shouldn't go. It's not that I could be wrong on this, but history has told me that the least amount of Michigan State players will be there next Thursday, the July 4th week. I know, Jackson Kohler, all those freshmen were going, and he said he was on his way home. I know a lot of the freshmen were going home. So will they be back in time Thursday? They might, but they may have the week off, and so sometimes that's a game they miss. So it's sort of the schedule. I thought Desmond would start it maybe the Tuesday, so you get a couple games before they head home, but there's a chance next Thursday is not the best day to go, and after that, really any day is good.
Next one from the Hawk. What's the best way to DM you with the what-if scenario sports ideas? Facebook, Twitter, email? I've got some ideas to pitch to you.
Really any of them, but you can just DM me. You can send me an email, gcouch@lsj.com.
Or you can call them.
Or just call me, whatever. Show up on my porch, whatever works for you, Jake.
Next one from Jake. Since you give MSU a 40 to 60% chance to win against Washington, do you think the 3-hour time difference will play a factor in it and affect Washington?
I don't, because it's 5:30, 5 o'clock, whatever it is start. It's a late afternoon, 2 o'clock their time, right in their wheelhouse. If you get a noon game out east, yep, that can have an issue. But 5 o'clock, I don't think it'll make a difference.
Next one from Jake. Since you're going to Paris, have you been brushing up on your French?
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a dans le bois? Je suis fromage. You know what I just said?
I'm a douche.
What's in the box? And I am cheese. I am all set for this trip.
You're going to need that.
Yep.
Jake, last one from Jake. If the Tigers mascot Paws were in a fight with other MLB team mascots, which ones would he win and which ones would he lose?
Definitely July, isn't it? I don't really know enough of the other mascots. I mean, Paws is a tiger, so that there are advantages to that.
But he's Paws, so he's nice.
Right.
Doesn't really like to fight.
No, I can't answer this, Jake. But it's an interesting question. I'm trying. I just don't know.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Does Jason know how to make toilet wine? No. Listen, I was only in there for 72 days, or actually with good behavior, so they never went wine in there.
In the prison?
And I got to say, I mean, as much as I liked boozing, and I understand you need something to do in there, but toilet wine, I just don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
I just be like, all right.
If I knew that
Does
water.
Anybody have any heroin in here?
Not only is it toilet wine, it's shared toilet wine. Couldn't do it.
Like out of a trough.
Oh, God.
Jerk.
Well, if it's a trough, that's different. Maybe I'd do
Jerk
it.
Guy. Have you ever sat on an upholstered couch meant for indoor use outside? Upholstered.
Sure. Like in college, people had them on their back decks and everything. And yeah, absolutely.
Jerk Guy. What's the funniest joke that doesn't make other people laugh?
Pretty much every joke I tell my wife, it doesn't make people laugh. Do you have one that you think's funny that nobody?
Not off the top of my head, but T does the same thing with me.
I mean, neither one of us have any confidence in our humor left because of our wives.
I do. I just can't think of anything right now.
Same.
I have confidence. Jerk Guy. What's the funniest? Oh, no. Bro, do you even EUOAE.
Shit, I'm gonna have to Google this.
EUOUAE. Do you even OUE? Uwa?
It is.
Uwa.
It is the mnemonic. A mnemonic used to recall a sequence of tones in a particular passage.
But how do you pronounce it?
What?
Uwa-e.
It's spelled. Wait, is that Jew?
All right, let's not get canceled.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here. Jerk Guy, have you planned where you will be eating for MSU road games?
I don't usually plan this far ahead, but I know the stops I like, and it's always a big part of my trip. Because you don't want to waste a per diem, you know? If the company's paying for it, you gotta go to a good place. Without question, you should always have a good meal on the road. We appreciate all of you and producing our show and with your Twitter questions. Fantastic stuff as always. We will be off for a couple weeks. Back mid-July, we'll tweet when we're coming back, and by then I'll speak fluent French, so it'll all be good. Thanks to Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com to order your July 4th donuts, or just swing by Groovy Donuts on East Lansing, on Lake Lansing Road, or in Williamston. Appreciate Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download it today. Good show, man.
We Mongars.
Couch in the Roof.